I have started my spreadsheets for the winter rate.
I have February too.
Yeah, I have March.
Can you tell us approximately how many kilowatts we go out a year?
A year?
A year?
I have to go pull up a
Bill, yeah, the bill. I have one here. Just doesn't really tell me much.
Okay, Bill, but then we don't bill for like city lights and...
We do now.
We do now? We do now? Okay. And that just started when?
January.
But I really think that we can go with the winter rate.
On this side, on the 4.6
Yeah,
side.
yeah.
Or what about an incentive? I live in Odebolt. I've checked into moving to this town. I have Mid-American Energy. They give incentives for switching my whole house to electric, or
Sure.
to cheaper alternative.
Mean has incentives too. They're not as good as Mid-American,
No, they're not really.
and that's what I did put new lights in over there, not here,
Yeah.
because of the incentive.
Mm-hmm.
But again, what she's saying is that my cost of electricity, this was always Odebolt, this was Wall Lake. Wall Lake was always lower, and then in the last 9 months it's gone past it because Mid-American is not allowed to raise their rates.
And I think they just renegotiated last fall. August of '09, I believe it was.
Yeah, I've got 2.5 years worth of my bills we just analyzed here, and I know that they just didn't. They raised it from now see, like on a bill like mine, the first 10,000 kilowatts that you use, they charged me 49 or 4.9 cents last year. It's at 0.5 this year, so it only went up a 10 or only a 10 of a cent.
On your billing also, you have a summer and a winter rate.
Oh, sure.
But the amount, your base amount, is never the same.
They change.
That 10,000 changes almost every month.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's 12.
Yeah, they've got you dancing too.
So I was trying to figure out how, like we have a set rate, the 150 to the 850, and then anything over that. There's no rhyme or reason to yours. They change.
No, you're reading it backwards. They charge me $80 for the hookup, and then they charge me for the first 10,000 the most.
But I'm telling you that 10,000 changes.
Because with the demand meter.
Okay.
There's a demand meter on me too.
Okay, because I was trying to figure that out.
When it's at 40, it's 10,000. When it's at 40, when it's at 38, it's still at 10,000. When it's at 41, it's at 10,250. When it's at 42, it's 10,500. You see, and then the next one, the 6,000, raises by 150 increments also. So as in the summertime, when I'm on the summer rate and I'm using more electricity, I get more shoved into the high category.
Right. Okay.
That's what
I couldn't figure that out.
That's what we're seeing, because we're seeing 11,750 and a 10,500
and
that's the way Mid-American
doing
that. It all has to do with the when it was at 57, then they had it like at, I don't know what it was, 1,450 units I got billed for it at the higher rate.
Yeah, that makes sense.
0.0439 and 0.048.
But we have always been under that until the last 9 months when these guys can't raise their electric rates
That's what he was charged.
like they need to.
But something similar to that, anything over a set point would maybe be a few cents more or something. Get people to be more energy conscious. Adjust your thermostat so when you're not there, your house is warmer. Put in more efficient light bulbs. I mean, do more for the town. Get people to help.
Maine does have an incentive plan there. It's not as like you said, it's not as much as...
IEMU does too, that we do that kind of program. Where we do gas heater, water heater incentives, electric.
We set everybody light bulbs 1 year. They got every problem we did it too.
You want to wait until he gets items come in?
They don't just go to these light bulbs, try to go with my electrical bill, it still sucks.
We have
soon.
Well,
A long time.
July 1st, because we have to have it for that billing. Well, we actually have to have it by June 20th.
Then they still have to read it.
Well, they read on the 20th. So I would say by the second meeting in June, we need to set it. Not the first, but the second meeting.
Do we have many demand meters out there now, or that was going to be used?
Currently, I think we have 4 or 5, and you guys will be going on soon.
I think Cookie's got one, don't they?
School will have one.
We're supposed to have one.
You do, Curtis Pittman.
Zach?
I should have one on there now.
I mean,
Yeah, but when you go to 12.5 is when you'll actually go to.
whether we make the switch right away, or we want to do a study on it, or maybe we want to look at.
You know, what John and I were talking about earlier today is where this came up with, are we charging too much, you know, and we need to also look at the other side of the whole thing, rather than trying to be like them.
No.
And try to figure out how we're gonna bill like this. We're never gonna win.
Yeah.
What we need
Well, no,
to
yeah,
do-
we can't.
What we need to do is figure out, what do we need to make off of this so that we can pay our bills?
Mhm.
And why do we need to make much more? And how much more do we need to make? And then we need to explain that to the people of town, why we need to do that.
Yeah.
That's what we need to do. That's what people are gonna understand more than what this is right here.
Yeah.
You know, we just need to say, hey, we need to have this much, we need to have the 2,500 going to the wind generator, we need to have this much to cover our bond, we need to have this much to cover our energy and these demand costs, and then do we need a little more for infrastructure improvements like the Twilight Acres thing?
Yeah.
You know, that's what we need to try to justify in our own minds rather than
Yeah. See,
we try to get in this game.
years ago, electricity paid for basically all the town wages and everything else, you know, for the workers and what have you. For water, and of course, we didn't have garbage at that time, but it paid for a lot of it, for just about all of it. Everything else was, and electricity was still cheap.
Yeah, because what we were buying was cheap. But
Well, I know
that
that what National Oaks up there, what they paid up there, paid for the whole electricity the town used for a block. And we were on a horsepower rating. So many horsepower, we had to pay that horsepower.
Can you get these gentlemen to come in at our next meeting then?
Yes, I know that before.
Should we table this until, at least till next meeting? At least.
I think I'd like to see us try to get some idea of how many kilowatts we have in these different tiers. So that if we do our methodology and say, okay, we need $200,000 a year, then we can see how much we're billing in each one of those tiers. Because if you're making 4.6 cents, you know, basically 10 million kilowatts, you're $460,000.
So you're not making that much, you're saying.
No, I know, but-
850, the first 850 kilowatts.
Yeah, I mean, if they're all at 800,
Yeah.
But there's-
all at 1,000, which are not, I understand that.
But there's 200 users or whatever, how many users there is, I'm not sure how many users it would be.
But if we know that almost all the residential are under the 1,000, and we have, I don't know, we need to know how much we've built out for residential.
Get him that, so that you can, Marlene would like to have a working session, because we could stay here till midnight working on this.
Yeah.
And the basis of a working session is we get together, we discuss strictly one subject in hopes to come to an agreement. You make no motions, you don't vote on anything. That way everyone has their right to their opinion. You get every fact, figure, all out in the open, and we don't spend 2 hours hashing over stuff in the council.
Can you get him those figures that he requested, though, that John requested?
I think they can pull off.
I can-
Residential, commercial,
I think,
Do you know what John wants? You want monthly? Monthly, don't you?